Hey friends, my name is Jake. Welcome to Canadian Cutting Edge. This is Bandit, my dog. You had a birthday a couple days ago. You're 9 years old, aren't you, buddy? Yeah, you're 9 now. Yeah. I figured you want to see something good on this video? I'd show you my dog. Today we're taking a look at this knife. This is the KTactical Pocket Katana. I got the knife directly from KTactical. They contacted me on Instagram, asked me if I wanted to review the knife. I took a look at their website and the specs and stuff, and I said, no, thank you. And I told them why. I said, this thing's made with materials that I don't like, especially the blade steel 3CR13. There you go. The blade is made out of 3CR13, which is just too soft for my liking. And I told them that it would not get a good review. They said, we would still like you to review it. We want to hear your honest feedback. Well, that's what this video is, my honest feedback. My honest feedback for the Pocket Katana by KTactical. Keep watching. All right, here it is. Let's start with a size comparison. There it is, and there's my Ontario rat. Put that beside it, line up the pivot pins. It's just a little bit smaller. It's a good size knife. I like the proportions. The proportions are good. It's not too thick in the handle. It feels okay in the hand. So it's a pretty good sized knife. Let's talk about the blade first. 3CR13 MOV stainless steel, it's just way too soft for my liking. They tried to put a kind of mirror finish on it. I can't really take too many points off for that. I don't like mirror finish at all because fingerprints, you can see all the fingerprints on there. And I wiped it off just before I started the review. And most guys for budget knives, it's rare that you're going to see a mirror finish on a low budget knife, the kind of stuff that I review. And that's because, it looks over flashy and that makes it look cheap. The price point on this thing, didn't say that yet. $24.95 American. You can buy it in 3 places that I know of. You can buy it directly from KTactical. I've got a link for Amazon down below, Amazon.com. They're out of stock on the day I'm recording this, but they might get stock in soon. And you can buy it on eBay. The blade shape, we've got, a narrowing blade. We've got a Western Tanto tip. We've got a hollow grind here. I think this front section's a bit, that's a hollow grind as well. Bit of a swedge up there. And the sharpening on it, it's what I expected for this knife. It's not done very well. Here's a close-up of this part of the blade right here. You can see on this side it's sharpened fairly well, but on the other side, you can see that white, really bright spot right there. That wasn't even sharpened. Whoever was sharpening it didn't bring it right to the edge. It's left the way it was when it was being hardened and annealed. It's not even sharpened to the corner. I have seen knives that are sharpened worse, but it's not sharpened very well. We've got a sharpness choil that is in the ricasso instead of, coming over the cutting edge. It just barely touches the cutting edge. So the sharpness choil, guys at KTactical, if you're going to try to fix this thing on future runs, make the sharpness choil come out and end just a little bit after the plunge ends so that it's useful. Otherwise, I'm going to be scratching into the side of that plunge the first time I sharpen this knife. And it's going to need sharpening quite often. We've got a thumb stud. It's a permanently peened in thumb stud, so you can't take this off. It's right side only. There's nothing super terrible about this thumb stud. It sticks out a little bit more than I like, but not bad. You can get your thumb on it and you can get engaged to flip it open. And I am flipping it, there we go, as hard as I normally flip knives or try with my thumb stud to deploy it. And sometimes it works. Usually it doesn't. The flipper. the flipper has that mirror finish. It's all slick and smooth, and it's really hard to get a good grip on it, but I can get it to start. That's how it is. They did give me a second one, which I took apart already for showing you. That one was easier to flick open. If you loosen the pivot enough so that you can, it's free spinning, so it's hard to do unless I pull out my vise. I can hold it and put 2 screwdrivers in. At least there's T8 on both sides, but I'm trying to, there we go. I think I've got it. With these sudden jerks, just loosened up a little bit. There you go. Now it's loosened up enough that it'll fly open with the thumb stud. It's very loose. It's very floppy. Now it's rubbing on the side. Before it was just bad alignment. Now it's actually rubbing on the side. And the detent is so soft, that little wrist flick got it to open up. There you go. That's all it takes, is that tiny little movement. There you go, and it comes open. That's terrible. In Canada, that's illegal, so I will be snugging that back up again. And then the thumb stud works as well, but there's almost no detent to speak of. The detent is not holding the knife. It almost falls out. Not bad. It's terrible. It's not bad. It's terrible. What do we have inside? Let's show you the inside of this knife. I took it apart. They did put some lubrication between the liners so that helps to defeat corrosion. That's not copper. It's, I think, aluminum. It's been anodized. I scraped it off a little bit to be sure that that was definitely not copper, and that was just anodization. It had that look already, and I could tell when I turned it over. You can just see it's aluminum color, those pins, where it's been, put in there so it's permanently attached. At least it's solid. None of these have come loose on my testing. And then it's just a stainless, hopefully it's stainless steel. It's a steel liner. We've got one small white nylon plastic washer and one larger one. And on this side, there's the steel detent ball. It has a D shape on the pin. And there's a D shape right there on this liner. And on this one, it did stop it from spinning a little bit. I'm going to try to take this one all the way apart, but for some reason, this one was totally free spinning. Even though they did try, at least on some of them, they put a D-shaped pivot pin on there to stop it from spinning along. The G10 is, this is maybe the best part about this knife. They've got this carbon fiber laminate on top of the G10, and then they've got that milling in there to sort of make it look like a Japanese handle wrap. And it looks sort of like that. It offers grip in the hand. So with that wrap on there, you get a decent grip on the knife. It's so grippy that when you use the pocket clip, I should say, I was about to say thumb stud. The pocket clip is functional, but the fabric bites into that little cut. So it's really tight right there. You could hear it. You can hear it rubbing on the fabric. If it's making noise, that's a lot of friction, and that's going to cause wear and tear on the pants. And these button screws up here, it was often catching on right there. Sometimes, if I'm really careful, there we go. You can get it in all the way, and it looks okay in a pocket. I don't like that, there's branding on the pocket clip, but give or take, that's whatever you prefer. It's not a terrible pocket clip. It's actually pretty decent. If they would use some flush screws in there, then it could sink in better. And, a lot of brands, like you can really see it on Spyderco, they like to put a flat spot underneath the main spring part where the contact is between the handle, the pocket clip, and the fabric of your pocket between. They make it flat on the handle so that it slides better. Something like that here would have been a little bit better. They would have had to do it on both sides because the pocket clip can go on the left side, so that's good. It's left friendly. The lanyard hole, nothing really bad to say about that lanyard hole. The placement of it's pretty good, and it's not bad at all. You've got 3 screws to hold the G10 on. So there's the 1 screw hole and then 2 more. So it's secure, it's stayed together. The pins for the body construction, they're just straight pins, so nothing extra decorative, totally functional. And none of these screws, let's pick them up, none of these screws showed signs of stripping out yet, but I've only taken this one apart once. There is some Loctite on these screws, as you can see in the close-up. And, they're okay. I would like, flush screws, kind of like what some companies like Civivi and a number of other companies use. But button screws are very common, so I'm not going to take off too many points for the button screws. The anodization up here, that's going to scratch easily. In my testing, it showed scratching easily. But it has a pretty decent look to it when it's new. I think I've shown you the insides of it. Let's go over some more of the big cons that I really dislike. This hole here for disengaging the liner lock. I know they shaped it that way for the thumb stud to get in there, and it gets in there just fine, but that shape, how do you get your thumb in there? You have to just put your thumb straight up and down or close to it and get in there and push it over. I really wish they would have cut it out more on like a semicircle. Just half of a circle. And they wouldn't have even had to make it that deep. With the thumb stud, there's room there. They could make it shallower and just make it come out like a traditional thumb stud opening. And then it'd be easier to get the thumb in there. If they chamfer the edge, it'd be a little more comfortable because it's kind of a hard edge to push on. But it works. Lockup, it's a little bit later than I'd like, but it's not terribly late on either one of these. On one of them, the lockup was actually fairly decent, and this one, it's a little bit past halfway, but not terrible. Like I said about the alignment already, there you go. That's most of what this knife is about. It's got a decent look. That's what it's got going for it. And I think that's what's attracting sales, is the look on it. The rest of it, it just doesn't have that much. I wish they'd rather put a stonewash treatment on here. I wish they'd use like 8CR13. If they used 8CR13 and fix the action and fix this hole and maybe put a pocket clip on that mounts a different way so that it can sink all the way in, this thing would get a semi-recommend. As it is now, I don't recommend this thing at all. There's other knives that you can buy in this price range that are a lot better. So, KTactical wanted my opinion. Hopefully I've clearly stated the things I like and dislike. There certainly are pros on this thing, like left and right pocket clip. That's a pro. I would prefer left and right thumb studs. If you're going to make the pocket clip left friendly, make the rest of it left friendly as well. The action is just terrible. You can get decent action out of these kinds of washers. Well, I don't know what material this is, if it's the standard, really slippery stuff. It feels like it probably is. But you can get decent action from nylon washers. But on this thing, the action is mostly defeated by a terrible detent and the fact that the flipper tab is all smooth. Like I said, it's not that hard once I've loosened it up with a lot of blade play now to use the thumb stud. But even then, with the flipper, with no detent, it's just not going, unless I use some wrist action, I'm not going to flip that knife open. So you add just a little bit of wrist action and it kind of looks like it's good. Hey, that's good, right? If you just use the flipper, I can get this. I know I can. when it's really loose, you can get it if you do it just right. That's just awkward. I was just posting the video and I realized I forgot some stuff. I forgot to do the measurements. Here's a still picture with some of the measurements on it. Unfortunately, I don't have time to do them all. I found some other problems. I decided to sharpen it because I'm going to do a giveaway. The comment section, look at the first comment for the rules on how to get into the giveaway for one of these, because I got one to work fairly well. And that's because I took the one that had the liner with the detent ball sticking out the furthest and matched it with the blade that had a hole, the detent hole that had the straightest sides. That's a big problem with why these detents are soft. Their holes are more egg-shaped than they are having straight sides into the hole. And so it's acting like a ramp that the detent ball can just glide out of. So there's that problem. So I decided I was going to do a giveaway, so I was going to sharpen it up. And nope, I cannot sharpen the last 1/4 of an inch of this knife because the thumb stud is much too high. So I'd have to sharpen this here at about 26 degrees if I wanted to sharpen this edge. Otherwise, my stone is rubbing on the thumb stud instead of on the edge of the blade. So I sharpened it to 20 degrees up to here and just left that last 1/4 of an inch. This side I sharpened all the way. They could have easily fixed that if they would have had removable thumb studs. Then you could take the thumb stud out and sharpen it whatever angle you wanted. Right now it's 20 degrees per side. So more and more problems keep being found even after I thought I was done. I've got them both apart now, and no, this one's not free spinning. It was stopping in there. It does have the D shape as well, just like the other one did. The problem is the screw that was in there was stripping out, and I was able to get, pry underneath. Well, a very thin piece of metal, I put pressure on it, and I was pulling it, and I got the threads to engage again so I could get it out, but I won't be able to get this solid back in again because the threads inside stripped out, not the head of the screw stripping out. The threads inside were stripped out, which is why it was so hard to adjust this thing. Okay, KTactical. The other thing I don't like is I don't like overbranding. You've got your name right there, and you also have your name right there. I don't like big names put on knives and stuff anyways. Make it smaller, put it up on the ricasso, and leave it off the pocket clip is what my suggestion would be. And definitely upgrade your steel at least to 8CR13 MOV. If you want to use Chinese steels, it'd be 9CR18. That'd be even better. So this knife has potential, but in its current state, it's not a recommend. No ifs, ands, or buts. I do have links down below if you still like it and want it anyways. Thanks for liking my video. Thanks for sharing, commenting, subscribing, all those other good things. And remember, friends, always cut towards your chum, not your thumb. Bye for now.